Clair Obscur Expedition 33. That was not a good French accent. I am not a trend chaser. This game was not on my wish list, and I only bought it simply because I thought the launch price discount was good. I mean, I've seen some clips on Twitter when I was scrolling down, and the first thing I thought that this game is just some French Persona game. I mean, my only experience of the games is Smash with Joker in it, and my brother who plays like 3 until 5 of those games, and that's pretty much it. I just had zero thought about it, and playing the game with barely any knowledge or hype and excitement, I'm not even sure if this game was well advertised or had any marketing, so right after beating Xenoblade X and Xenogears, I decided to play this game next. Sorry, Xenosaga. So what is Clair Obscur Expedition 33 other than French Persona? Well, as far as I know, it's an indie game that shows that not everything has to look so retro just to be hip and cool. But do you know what else is retro? Turn-based RPG combat. So as far as I know in the modern market, the only turn-based RPG game I could think of is Pokemon, Baldur's Gate, Deltarune, and maybe Fire Emblem. But I think games like BG3 and Fire Emblem look more like tactical turn-based instead of traditional turn-based. On an unrelated note, there's also Edge of Eternity, which coincidentally is also an indie turn-based RPG made in France. But I couldn't beat that game due to a soft lock hard lock game breaking glitch. No wonder why I'm getting so many rare achievements from that game. But I guess what makes this game seem to have a lot of effort put into it is how the dev used to work with Ubisoft till he got bored or something. Damn, just imagine if they still had this guy. Ubisoft would actually be a good company again. Or maybe they'll make the game worse.
Oh, wait. I saw movement.
You is blind.
So the game starts off with our main hero, copyright-free Robert Pattinson, voiced by Peter's No Way Home lawyer? Sheesh, how'd they get that money? Gustav, but you can call him Gus. Nah, no one really calls him Gus. Was looking at this huge monolith taking place in the alien world known as Playable. That's currently stuck in an apocalyptic nightmare where an event called a Gommage that's basically a countdown timer until people get doused into flower pills. So it's up to Gus and a team of 33-year-olds and a 16-year-old to raid Normandy Beach to stop the main villain, the Paintress, before it reaches zero. So the starting area is basically just a tutorial. There's nothing much other than markets and world buildings and people losing faith in joining the expedition, which is understandable since this took 67 years! Yeah, it's a long war, so I suppose they gotta do their part to ensure their survival. Despite taking place in this 18th or 19th century steampunk France, should I call it steampunk? The technology of teleporting weapons and creating grapple lines and grapple hooks are quite impressive. By the time you actually get past the tutorial, I mean, the closest thing to a shop in the starting area is just a side quest of collecting maybe 5 tokens, but once that's done, there's no turning back and no more token shopping. Chroma acts as the game's in-game currency, and now, this is where the nightmare begins.
How did you survive the Gommage? Which expedition are you...
Are you ready for round 2?
Now each character has their own skills and a special playstyle. Gustav, being the main character and all, is the first you play, and since this makes him a beginner-friendly character, his playstyle is simple. The more his sword hits an enemy and it reaches 10, this basically means you can activate a special overcharge ability, which deals strong electric damage. Of course, every time he uses it, he says,
For those who come after. For those who come after. For those who come after. For those who come after.
Say the line, Bart!
For those who come after.
But again, due to his beginner-friendly nature, sooner or later, you may have to start practicing other party members' playstyle, like Looney, the mage of the team who flies around barefoot and Asian? There's Asians in France?
C'est qui je suis moi? No! You're Asian, stop humiliating yourself!
Her playstyle is an elemental stain where, let's say you use an ice spell. The ice element will fill this up, and when you use a fire spell, it'll consume the ice spell for extra damage. Mael is the fencer of the team, changes her stance depending on the skills you use, standless, offensive, defensive, and virtuous. Ciel is the fortune teller, card captor, deck builder, well, whatever her class is supposed to be, she basically has the power to plant dark-based cards and deal extra damage, or support depending on how many cards you applied in total. First though, the character who shows up late, whose playstyle is basically Devil May Cry. If it were a turn-based game, that is. Where the higher the ranking you get, certain skills will offer you a bonus.
Break.
God, I love it when he says that. He's also the only party member with a relationships level up system, and it works in a gameplay and story perspective since he hasn't talked to a human in a long time, and that's actually pretty clever. And finally, Minoko. Now, unlike other party members, you have to unlock his skills by beating enemies so he could steal their feet to transform into them. Is this guy Quentin Tarantino and Kirby if they had a baby? Or is this what happens if Kirby sucks Quentin Tarantino and steals his powers? Depending on the skills you choose, it also changes his mask. The only downside is that most of his powers uses a lot of action points. Now when you defeat strong enemies, go shopping, or if you explore enough to find rare loot, you might stumble upon some new weapons where the more you level them up to a specific number, like 10 to 20, the more they'll give you some bonus stats. And speaking of bonus stats, if you want to modify the way you play your characters, you'll sometimes find these Pictos to switch up the way you play in combat. Some of them give simple stat boosts, enemy debuffs, healing bonuses, etc, etc. Then you got Picto that basically makes you strong for going solo, so it's kinda cool that this game gives you the option like this to go on one man only run the next time you play on NG+. Now when it comes to the turn-based combat, your character doesn't dodge automatically if you have high speed and agility. No, that stuff is used for taking the initiative. And as you can see here, judging by the way I level up my characters, it's usually when they equip that certain weapon with a certain rank boost. Why do I have a feeling I'm leveling up the characters wrong? So yeah, instead of some kind of auto dodge, what you have to do is to press the dodge or parry buttons. Now the difference between the two is that dodging is parrying but easy, but you can't do damage, while parrying is dodging but harder. Because sometimes, when you try to parry, it always feels like I'm doing something wrong. Or the enemy's just cheating their way to win. Like, what am I supposed to do here? Do I do it before or after? But I think the problem here might be because of how just an enemy is about to attack you, and they'll just pull off this cheap delay attack of not attacking for 1 second and then hit you. And this happens every single time. Satisfying, yes, but sooner or later, you won't have no choice but to keep using this parry mechanic to fight tougher enemies. Oh, and let's not forget how some enemy attacks have to be dodged by jumping and a slow-mo counter that gets introduced in the game's second act? Act 2? This late in the game? More tutorials halfway, guys, more tutorials! Xenoblade 2 is back! Now, other than dodging and using your character skills, you can also shoot them, which is mostly recommended with fighting enemies with weak points or ones that dodge a lot. Oh, and super moves called gradient attacks that is also introduced in the second half. Give me a damn break. There's still new mechanics you have to put.
Verso, why aren't you using gradient attacks?
I don't need pointers from the one sitting on his lazy ass.
You didn't teach them, did you, you lazy old fart?
I know it sounds like I'm hating on it, but no. It's just that I'm shocked that there's these new mechanics they decide to throw out as the game progresses. Now the world of Clair Obscur is beautiful. As beautiful as an art museum painting. Compared to when you first arrived, which was literally Normandy Beach, this is a world of wonders and mysteries. I remember coming to the second location and already the place felt mind-blowing to see. A place that's underwater saying but it's actually on land? Cool! Some other places you can travel on the world map are a bunch of optional areas, which don't really serve anything to the story other than being able to find maybe new weapons, side quests, music discs, logs from previous expedition teams, and a beach area minigame? But it's cool that you get to see some more of the optional world building stuff. I haven't beaten them all, so I think these areas are meant to be the New Game Plus areas, or maybe it's just some of them are just too hard for me since they keep putting this DANGER! DANGER! sign all over. Then there's this area that's just a small zone where there's zero combat and pure spectacle. Wait, is this a fixed camera in a modern game?
I applauded it for being different!
Some areas of the game also have locked doors to a mansion area which will lead you to the room's locked doors. Of course, the more you look into it, the more you start to notice the foreshadowing and hints in the area. Some other neat details is how each party member plays a different song on this piano. Now as you continue exploring the game, you'll start to find out that there's actually civilization here. We got these wooden bionic Lomatorans that see themselves as proud warriors, but 99% of the time, they're just complete goobers. And some Yeti guys living in the mountains that do nothing but stand around. While the evil enemy monsters you fight are called Nevrons, but some of them are friendly enough to give you a side quest, which makes me wonder if these guys were human at one point or maybe I missed something. Although most humans you do meet are actually just a bunch of ghost people who are about to fade away, and the end of the conversation is just them staying silent.
Oh, fuck. Oh my.
And finally, I want to talk about the game's biggest spotlight thief, and that is the music. I think a lot of music in this game is kinda stuck in my head, so here's a little showcase of the music played in the game.
It will be blood of your life.
Old century French this game might be, but then you got tracks that sound something like this. Keep in mind, all this music I'm listing is just the tip of the iceberg, so if you want to listen to them, just check them out on YouTube or Spotify if you want to have more of the taste. Overall, to conclude this review, and as this time of recording where the Game Awards aren't happening yet, does this deserve a Game of the Year award? Now say what you want about the Game Award shows, doesn't matter if it's a major big name or a minor name, but I like the idea of a Game Award show since it's one of the few things that help celebrate games as an art form. Problem here is that most of the time, I'm not really trusting of the judges or whoever is nominating or voting who gets to win, but let's face it, as soon as your favorite art gets nominated and wins an award, you'd say, "Yes! Yes! Woohoo! In your face, Spider-Verse!"
Oh no, this is some horrible joke.
I gotta admit, the only reason I watch these Game Award shows live was just so I can feel like I'm in some prestigious event of sitting next to people working in the already corrupt industry. Guys, am I part of the problem?
Why are Statler and Waldorf at the Game Awards?
It's a great question. I've been asking myself the same thing. Help!
Help!
But to me, I always saw games that changed and pioneered gaming as a whole, creating new standards like Breath of the Wild, Half-Life, MGS as an instant Game of the Year winner. Cheating, I know. Yeah, at this point maybe I should be the only Game Awards judge, and I get to decide who wins and deserves the Game of the Year. I could be a curator. Actually forget, good innovation is not about its good presentation. I mean, it's a good game obviously. Some might compare this to a Souls-like parry sim, because 99% of the time, the best solution to fighting bosses is just parry, parry, parry.
Parry the platypus!
Ladies and gentlemen, the future of gaming. Standing still and press the button at the right time. So go play WarioWare then! But remember when I said I called this game as French Persona? Well, it turns out I actually remember playing a game that's similar to this, which is a turn-based game with QTE mechanics. And I'm talking about Mario and Luigi. Partners in Time. It does remind me of that gameplay-wise, unless there's another turn-based game with QT mechanics. I could be wrong. I mean, Mario 3 is another I could think of. Paper Mario, Xenoblade. Huh, that's a lot of Nintendo games. But regardless, Clair Obscur's sweet lighthearted moments, drama, amazing artful world, well-written characters, a story as the game progresses that anyone could love, full of twists and turns that will leave you on the edge of your seats, I'd say it's definitely a game you shouldn't miss. So you know what? I think it's well deserved. But if it ain't, I'm hoping it'll win Best Music or something. The only thing I don't like about it is that it's getting a movie adaptation already. On one hand, congratulations. On the other hand, I can't help but think that it only exists just to cash in the video game adaptations are good now money. Just because it's finally making success. But I can't help but think we might end up getting a watered down version of it. But enough of that. For the final score, I think I'm gonna give this a full 5. I will admit I almost did consider deducting points just because of how pairing is going to be the only solution in the game's last parts. But yeah, you know what? Full 5. So yeah, really glad this game got made. Here's hoping the studio won't follow the same footsteps as most modern game companies going downhill. So I'm hoping for more upcoming studios to make more good quality games like these to come. Anyway, if you guys reached the end of the video and enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like, comment for your thoughts, and subscribe for more videos. Who knows, maybe once I get a silver play button I might finally do a Harry Potter PS1 review. And if you want to see more videos like these, which are probably better than this one, check out my channel. Watch some videos on my playlist. Well, guess that's all for now. This is Syndicate, logging off until next time.
Who are you? What do you want? Kill the spam!
Avada Kedavra!